right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Bone Apple Tea. In this episode, we get to sit down with our buddy Omar. He's a personal trainer, fitness enthusiast. Kind of takes a holistic approach to health and fitness, health and wellness, I should say. And he has an interesting perspective because he's been through, most physical pursuits you can think of, like bodybuilding, strongman, powerlifting. He's done all three, and he's been training people for a while. And he's been through some shit, so we talk about it all.
Definitely got to learn a lot about that.
Yeah, it was really cool to sit down with him, had a great chat. He'll definitely be back on.
For sure. We're just scraping the iceberg.
It's
the tip of the iceberg. But there will be more for sure in the future.
Yeah, I don't think we have a weekly slap anymore.
No more weekly slaps.
Thing,
yeah, it's just how it is. It's Johnny's little outro is all we got now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, his Instagram is at liveomfit. That's liveomfit, not liveomfit for all you clowns out there. LIVEOMFIT. Yeah, enjoy. All right, Omar. I'll say Omar because we got a lot of white people listening. But
Oh, good.
I'm glad that we finally got you on. This is Omar Nasri, Live Om Fit. We'll plug you at the end, but cool. I feel like Omar is like one of those guys that, like, I feel like when I met you, it was just kind of like off the rip. I was like, I vibe with this kid, and I felt like I already kind of knew you, which is like kind of funny. You know what I mean? Like, and we just chilled that whole night.
Yep.
But it's good to finally have you on. It's like welcome, obviously.
Whoop, whoop. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and like, what's good, man? So I guess you're a personal trainer. And actually, the first thing I wanted to ask you was, I guess, like, if you want to just, like, what kind of certs do you have? What kind of stuff do you do primarily? Mm-hmm. I know, obviously, you have a wide, broad range of skills, but, like, if you want to give, like, a brief, like, sell yourself.
Little introduction. Cool. So, first of all, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. So, yeah, this is not 6 feet.
That's cool.
Anyway,
Sorry.
So basically, in high school, I would never do my homework. I would always go home, go on bodybuilding.com, and just read up all the time. That's all I cared about. I was so immersed in bodybuilding and just, the ability to get big, right? That's all I wanted to do. So I was looking at, going to college. I didn't really want to do that and go down that road. But I knew that I wanted to work out for a living, right? So essentially what I did was I started working at this gym. This kid posted on Twitter that he needed someone to work at a gym. So I was like, hell yeah. And so I DM'd him really quick, got the job immediately, and then got kind of mentored by that gym manager. And he was like, yeah, get your NASM certification. So quickly hopped on that, got that certification, started training people, started doing group classes with all these moms and stuff like that. And it was hilarious. So started really focusing on that. And meanwhile, my parents, Arab parents are always pushing you to become a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, okay, definitely not going to do that. Because doctors and lawyers, you guys are amazing, but the lifestyles you guys live, definitely hard and very, very stressful. But I knew I wanted to really create that freedom of time for myself and the ability to just kind of create my own path. So was training and coaching people for a couple of years in person. And then I decided, meanwhile, I was also doing my own personal stuff like bodybuilding and got into powerlifting and eventually strongman out of nowhere.
Yeah, we should talk more about that later.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep going.
So then I did that, dropped out of college. Well, I actually skipped the whole part where I went to college.
Where were you going?
It was just such a quick thing that faded from my memory. I went to Worcester State first.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, I definitely want to save money and maybe try it out, see how it goes. I wanted to go for exercise science. So lo and behold, I looked into that whole opportunity and, exercise science is just not a thing that it's kind of like a means to an end. A lot of people that go into exercise science, they're probably looking into getting into DPT programs and becoming physical therapists.
Yeah, it's actually really true.
Trainers.
Yeah, I have a friend who's doing that exact thing where he went for exercise science and now he's doing for physical therapy.
And the thing about that, is when you're a physical therapist and you're an athletic trainer, you're focused on rehabilitation. So for me, though, I really wanted to focus on how can I optimize the human body and rid illness and create wellness, right?
Right.
So instead of rehabilitation, I want to focus on actually keeping you at a condition that is constantly evolving and getting better, so that you don't have to go to,
It's like more preventative.
Yeah, preventative care as opposed to like,
Yeah, like not sick care, like prevent. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So this whole time I'm thinking and debating in my head, and all the pressures from, my parents and friends and all that, they're all going to colleges and, getting these degrees and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I really, really don't think it's for me. I know a lot of people say, yeah, school's not for me. But at the end of the day, I saw all these people, and you see on social media, kids at like 19 years old with like $1 million businesses, e-commerce, all this and that, driving Lamborghinis. And so it really messes with your head.
It's a tough decision, honestly. Like it is, because everybody else is like going to school, and you feel like, oh, I'm getting left behind, but like it's not the case, but it just, I feel like it feels like that.
Exactly. And that's the thing. We all have different chapters in our book, and we're not going to move at the same rate as someone else, just like we don't have the same genetics as someone else, just like we don't adapt to the environment the same way. And the foods that we eat don't elicit the same response in people. So it's, you really got to look within and understand where you're going and what your direction is. That's the most important thing. If you just take action with no direction, you're going nowhere. You're spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
So from that point where I was in Worcester State, was majoring in biology, hated it, did not like it. I just wanted to focus on personal training and read up on anatomy books on my own time.
Right.
I developed this sense of awareness and intuition of like, hey, I can actually create, some sort of online business. And I saw these other people doing it. And that's actually a segue into why I moved to Utah. So that was
kid lived in Utah for a bit.
Utah, if any of you guys like hiking and are outdoorsy people, go there.
That's beautiful.
You'll absolutely be astonished, because it's such an overlooked state. Like no one talks about, hey, I'm going to vacation in Utah.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. I think it's one of those things where you go there, because I've driven across the United States, so I went through Utah like momentarily.
Yep.
Wish I could have spent more time. But it's just like you get there and you're like, this is in the United States still? This isn't like
it looks
in a
like
movie
Mars.
or something? Yeah, it looks like Mars. Which I actually don't doubt that they probably did shoot some scenes from like Martian type movies.
They did.
Oh, wow.
They did. They actually shot a bunch of movies over there in Moab. And so the thing about Utah is, it's like, it almost seems like it's 5 different states, because you've got very mountainous and green regions, and then you go down south to Moab and it's very desert, and it's a very dry state.
Right.
Dry physically and culturally. There is absolutely, if you smoke weed out there, like everyone shuns you. It's just,
really?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
worse. Sounds like worse than New Hampshire.
You're closed-minded.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. It's hard to connect with a lot of people there, but I will say this, there are very nice people there, just like any state, and then there are also assholes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's always going to be some assholes.
The concentration level is different in places like Massachusetts, where there are a lot of assholes. But, in Utah, as far as that, I did actually run into some trouble with the law, because it's such a dry state. And that was my first week out there. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about that or censor that at all.
No, I mean, dude,
whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Cool. But my time in Utah was really to kind of jump out, get some independent experience away from home, really just push my boundaries. I wanted to get uncomfortable. That was kind of the whole reason that I went out there. And I really did think I was ready. I thought I was going to go out, build my business out and just be a fucking celebrity or something like that.
Right.
That was kind of the vision that I had in my head. And lo and behold, I go out there, get punched in the face and in the balls. It was crazy, because the first week that I was out there, I got in trouble with the police. I was on BYU campus smoking next to a laundromat.
Oh no.
And dude, they come
That's right,
up.
BYU.
Yeah, BYU. That's Mormon territory.
Yeah.
They they do not. They despise all sorts of drug use, even coffee. It's crazy.
Really? Even coffee?
Yeah. Any sort of like stimulant, anything like that.
Wow.
There's a big stigma around that. But the crazy thing is, so the cops pull up and they're treating me like I'm some sort of heroin addict on the side of the road. There's like 2 cops that come immediately. And then the third one comes around and he's like standing right behind us, all like macho, trying to make sure we didn't move, dude. Or like on the curb. And I'm with my brothers. So I have an older brother who's 27 and a younger brother who is 18. And my younger brother was also smoking with me. But my older brother, he was just like, you fucking idiot.
Oh man!
Like the first 2 weeks, and my parents are also there at the same time.
Oh,
so
no, dude.
We're like, dude, this is bad, but hopefully they don't find out. And anyways, they're like, all right, where is it?
Now.
They found out when they sent a letter to my house.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So the cop's like, all right, where is it? I'm like, all right, I'll comply. I just want to make sure that we get out of here fine, and my parents don't find out.
Yeah.
So I show him the bag. I give him all the weed, and this is the best part. So he opens my hiking bag. Little Tupperware container with some chalk, and then another Tupperware container with the weed.
Oh no.
And what was with the weed is really what stunned him. He was like, what is this? And it was a baggie. So the weed's gone. He confiscated the weed. It's a baggie of ground substance. And he's like, what is this? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's just a supplement. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, if he pulls out a testing kit right now, I am getting a felony. Like I'm getting some class A misdemeanor, like not it's gonna be serious. So that was mushrooms.
Yeah, okay.
I had mushrooms with me.
Oh shit.
Ground up. Yeah.
Oh my God.
My homie was like, yeah, make sure you grind this up if you're gonna take it with you. He had it vacuum sealed in it. So anyways, brought that with me, got away with it. Got to use that a little bit later on in my time there. So that was fun.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh my God.
But I have that happen. And then the amazing thing is a month later after my parents leave, and I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to go back to Massachusetts. I'm just going to have my parents ship my clothes over, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to stay here and just, go off kilter and improvise, figure it out. So a month later, I'm driving down to the court hearing, and my tire just blows out of nowhere. I hit some metal thing on the road.
God, dude.
Blows out of nowhere. I have to get repairs for that. And then I also have to deal with this court fine.
Right.
And, dealing with those things, like they're kind of minuscule. And yeah, I mean, shit happens, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm going to bounce back. And at the same time, I was working a credit repair job that I was telling you was very, very monotonous and very slimy and schemy.
Right,
and I
right.
realized
You were
that.
telling me that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we were selling credit repair to people that didn't even really need it and didn't understand that it didn't work.
Oh my God.
And so I'm
How do you
like,
even get a job like that?
dude, the amazing thing was I didn't know what it was until I actually started working. There was like a training period.
Right. Oh my God.
And they were like, yeah, you're changing lives. Like, we're changing lives here. And all these people, they're selling you like this fake vision, fake dream. And
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
dude, drinking the Kool-Aid.
Jeez.
Man. And the thing that stuck out to me most was that everyone working there was smoking, drinking, going out in between their breaks and huffing down, vacuuming cigarettes like it was just food.
Oh man.
I was like,
it's like at the end of a machine gun, just just all the bullets just like flying from their mouth.
That's exactly what it was. And I was like, this couldn't be more unhealthy. This couldn't be a worse representation or a better representation of what's going on in the American world and the culture and everything. Right. So I knew I had to get out of there. It was just a bad environment. And I was starting to kick ass. Like I was starting to do good on my sales, but I'm like, dude, I'm taking money. It's like taking candy from a little kid. I was literally stripping these people of the last dollar they had. They had to go to a gas station across the street, get a prepaid credit card.
Oh my God,
like,
dude.
Yeah, like be able to use their social security money. And I was like, dude, this is not what I stand for.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy that like you didn't even realize it until you're like, oh my God, this is what I'm doing.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Was this like, so, because I know you worked didn't you work out there as a trainer for a while? 'Cause I know you worked obviously in Shrewsbury for a long
Mhm.
time as a trainer for a
Yep.
few years.
Yep.
And then like,
This whole time, I'm still trying to find a gig as a trainer. It's very, very competitive there.
Mm.
And there was this gym out there that I really fell in love with because, these people like professional athletes and all people across the world would
Right.
go to this gym. It was
Oh,
called
wow.
Excel. So I started training there and like I was paying $80 a month just to go there. And
Wow.
that was a fair chunk of change for
It
me.
is.
So I'm like, all right, hopefully by me being here, I'd surround myself around the right people and I could land a job here.
Mm.
Because I knew if I did, like it'd be game over. Things would be great. So that whole time I'm annoying the manager of the gym. I'm like getting on his ass. He's trying to go play golf. And I'm like, dude, come on, like, please give me a chance.
Mhm.
yeah.
And, he's like, yeah, why not? And just kind of brushes me off. And so that's when I found out, people kind of play nice, but then behind the scenes, like really what they cared about was they wanted me to, have all these certifications and degrees. And
Right.
that's not who I was. So for me, like I'm someone that kind of learns on my own. And, I second guessed myself again. I was like, really, should I go back to school and get this degree just so I can
Right,
prove
right,
myself
right.
and actually be able to do this?
Mhm.
Then I met this kid at that gym and he was making, like 10K a month online, right? He didn't have a degree. So he went to college, dropped out, same story as me, but
Right.
he was a little bit older and I saw what he was doing and I'm like, it's absolutely possible. So, I really tried to get it moving and this whole time I'm trying to sustain myself out there with, no help from anyone else. And my parents, obviously, I was really doing this and living on my own to make sure that I could provide for my family down the road.
Right.
My dad's super old, like he needs to retire soon. So that's really one of the things that drives me. And I end up quitting that credit repair job and going and getting a sales job at a Verizon store.
Right.
So then I'm selling phones and same type of environment. People
Right.
that just, drink on the weekends, get blackout, and I never involved in that. I was
Yeah.
never that
Mhm.
type of dude.
Yeah, I've literally never blacked out and I've never had a desire to do it.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, you mean you drink to the point that you have no idea what's going on?
No
Why would you
function.
want that?
You can't even remember what you did.
Oh, I'm gonna like black out. I'm like, why? Like, don't you want to know like what the fuck happened to yourself?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what
Yeah.
never rung in my head. If you want to have a great experience, don't you want to remember it?
Right. At least parts of it. Like
Yeah.
I understand, like,
Yeah.
you drink, you get a little brown out. That I'm okay with. I remember only bits, but the blackout.
The whole
yes.
night thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't do that.
Because it's an escape and people want to escape from their life. And I saw how shitty people felt about themselves. So long story short, I realized, you know what? I was out there for a total 8 months. I was trying to make it happen. Definitely could have done a lot better, with if I went back. But what I took away from all that was I didn't even share the worst part of what
Yeah,
happened.
dude,
to
I
me
was
out
gonna
there.
say, when
gonna
was
say,
that?
yeah.
When was
Yeah.
that in the mix? Because
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
like while
Was
you were
that-
still working at the
Mhm.
first shitty
So
job, right?
after the whole court hearing and paying that whole fine
And the tire popping.
and the tire popping, literally like a couple weeks later, I'm training for a half marathon. Okay. So I'm training for a marathon. It was in November 4th in Moab. And I was at this trail. I come back from my trail run and I see this cop and the lights are flashing. And I'm like, what's going on? And 3 cars had been completely swiped clean of every single thing.
Oh.
The only thing they didn't take from my car, and mind you, I was practically living in it still. I had all my belongings,
Oh, man.
everything, like work bag and gym bag, and everything I could possibly have in there was in there.
Like you say, like camera, audio equipment.
Yeah, like crazy stuff,
Yeah.
everything. So the only thing they didn't take was a bag of fresh apples I had bought from the farm stand. And I was hyped. I was like, dude, these things are amazing. So
At least they got food, I
yeah,
guess.
yep. So just to feel better about myself, I had that apple. But yeah, the craziest thing is I had never actually felt what a panic attack felt like.
Mm.
And from the moment that I realized what had happened, I was like, man, how the hell, like, why me, self-victimizing, all
Yeah.
that, right?
I mean, I feel like it's almost impossible not to. I mean,
Yeah.
like all that stuff happens
Mhm.
to you and it's out of your control and you weren't doing anything.
Right.
You know, so it's like, what the hell?
And it's an innate response, especially because, like you said, you weren't doing anything. You're thinking like, all I'm trying to do is good on this world. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
why the
Right.
hell would this happen? So I really started thinking about it. You know, I was on the parking lot floor amongst the shattered glass, and this cop is standing over me, giving me no comfort at all. He's just like, all right, like writing the details of the situation. And I know, you know, most of these crimes go unsolved, by the way.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
They-
I mean,
they
what are they
don't-
going to do? They're going to file it and be like, all right.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
give a shit because at the end of the day, there's so many more pressing things to do, like finding serial killers and stuff.
Mhm.
Stopping
So-
people on the highway, you know,
Yep.
busting people for weed. Right.
Exactly. Busting people for weed. That's the thing that they
Who
care
cares about
most.
theft? You know, screw that. This guy's
Yeah.
going 65 and a 60.
Right. Exactly. So I start to really play that mental tape recorder of like, all right, you know, I got to get back from this. I got to bounce back. And during this time, you know, I had some friends reach out to me, Adam being one of them, and I'm very grateful for you.
Yeah,
even
dude.
though I didn't really even know Adam too well, right?
Mhm.
And it was just amazing, like the amount of support that I had from family and friends back home. Obviously, like really missed the connections that I had and stuff like that I was building my whole life down there or here. But eventually what had happened was I kind of spiraled into this really dark place where I just did not want to do anything, no ambition,
Mm.
like completely forgot my direction and what I wanted to do.
Right.
And when you're not taking action and you're not having that momentum keep rolling, you start to lose that inspiration, that motivation. And then
Yeah.
you're like, do I even like this anymore?
Right. Like,
You
is
know?
what I'm doing, like, especially like the worst is when you're in bed at night
Mhm.
and you go to sleep and all of a sudden you're like, is what I'm doing even worth it? Like, is what I'm doing like the right
am I
thing?
thinking?
Yeah.
Like all
Yeah.
the things I thought about when I was a kid that I wanted to do, like they all seem so distant, you know, and here I am just in my bed with my own thoughts.
With my own thoughts.
Yeah.
Actually, I was in bed one night and the fucking water is dripping from the ceiling and I was staying up like I could not sleep because it was dripping on me. I was renting
Oh
at
my
this house.
God,
No way.
dude.
Yeah, man. Like this,
Oh my God,
it goes
dude.
deeper. I could keep going for hours, but eventually,
Dude, Utah sound like a fucking horrible time. No,
Dude,
no.
it's beautiful. If you ever want a vacation there, just don't go
Just
where I
don't
go.
live there, dude.
It's-
that's exactly. You know, I try to have that use it as like a stepping stone. You know, it was
Right.
definitely one of those things where, yes, it was a horrible time in the moment, but
Yeah.
looking back at it, how it shaped me mentally and
Right.
the fact that I went through those things, like, dude, the fucking ceiling was caving in on me.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Quite literally.
bro, I had to go to work the next morning, wake up at 5 a.m. and I had like 3 hours of sleep because I had to go upstairs and figure out why my room was literally flooding. And I have
Right.
videos
That's
of
crazy.
a freaking like Niagara Falls from the
Oh
ceiling.
my God, dude.
Dude, not even kidding, man. Not even
Dude,
kidding.
I mean, it helps too because, like, you know, it happens. Like, and then you kind of realize, like, all that shit's always just like temporary. You know, like
Temporary.
sometimes you just feel like shit for a couple months. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's just like part of it. It
Yeah.
happens. You know, and like, you know, here you are. You know, everything you went through it all, and now you're done. You're
Yep.
like, all right, word. Now I can get back to work.
Yep.
So, it's kind of crazy, dude. I didn't realize how extreme Utah was.
It was.
Jesus.
But all right, I wanted to ask you some questions. So, obviously, like, people don't know, but you've competed in several different kinds of events. So both, I remember, I think it was bodybuilding first, like a bodybuilding show.
Mhm.
Was it like men's physique or I don't know?
It was
specifically,
classic physique. Yep.
classic physique, which is probably like the better category, to be honest. Like, because who wants to look like a fucking, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, that powerlifting and then strongman, right?
Mhm.
And in that order, I think.
Mhm. Damn, you had this well. You did your research.
Dude, because I was following you on Instagram and then you
Yeah.
dropped off and I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
when I was like, all right, I gotta reach out to this kid. You know what I mean? Like, shit,
Mhm.
that sucks. But yeah, wait, okay, so I want to ask you, like, which one did you find the most challenging? Which one was your favorite? That kind of thing. So, like, I guess first off, like, what
Right.
did you think
That's
was
a good
like
one.
the hardest to do? Like for you, I guess.
Oof. You know what? I'm going to be one of those guys and say it depends.
Okay. Hey, no,
Hey,
there's
a
nothing
good
wrong with
answer.
that.
That's
That's
a
nothing
good
wrong with
answer.
that, though.
Because they each required their own difficulties and they each were different circumstances. Like for bodybuilding, you had to completely disregard all your innate needs to survive. Your body's telling you like, dude, you need to eat. Like, holy shit, feed me.
Yeah.
And you have to completely put that aside and be willing to get in a bathing suit and lather yourself up
Yeah.
to look good on stage
Yeah.
in front of
Is that the
people you
fake
don't
tan
know.
one too? You get the spray tan and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I loved it. Like my whole life, you know, I wanted to step on a bodybuilding stage, right? Since I was 12.
Dude, I actually remember, I was just so like not relate, well, sort of, but I remember seeing, because like we used to go to the YMCA, and like I remember seeing you like all the time, but like you were, I mean, we were younger, so like, I mean, you were probably 12, and like I think I'm like 3 years older than you, so
Yep.
yeah, I was like 15. But it's funny because like you had braces, and I'd be like, that kid looks familiar. I feel like I see him at the mosque, but like it was funny because I remember seeing you all the time at the gym.
Yes, I was in there. When I say all the time, like I would get back from school, head to the gym, hit like a 3-hour workout, and then wonder why I wasn't getting big. Meanwhile, people were telling me like, dude, you're so big. And we're like in middle school. So
Right.
big is very subjective.
Yeah, it's definitely, well, because everyone's walking around with like bones and like a shred of muscle.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
In their like their shorts and their sports jerseys and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
My mom would dress me in these collared shirts and everyone would be like, look at this kid.
This preppy kid.
I got bullied for it and it was
Oh,
hilarious. So from bodybuilding to powerlifting to strongman, bodybuilding required a level of disregard to your biology almost, you know, because you really have to put the hunger and the pleasure of eating completely aside.
Right.
And in the whole time that you're doing so, you feel like complete shit. And as you
It's funny, but
feel like more shit, you keep pushing through it because the more shitty you feel, the better you look. Right.
Yeah.
In bodybuilding terms.
Right. Yeah, it is kind of, you got to be fucking crazy lean.
Crazy. It's so unhealthy for you.
Yeah.
So realizing that, I was like, okay, you know, this is something that I'm glad I did. I'm glad I experienced. Maybe I'll do it again. But I know for a fact, this is not what fitness means.
Right.
So
Right.
from that term, and why my Instagram name is Live Om Fit, is because I really believe in a holistic and wholesome lifestyle that is balanced. And yes, you want to lift and look good, but more importantly, you should feel your best and perform at your best.
Right.
So that became more of a practical sense of why I would go to the gym and eat healthy and
Right.
try to, you know, do the right things. So from there, I shifted to more of a performance-based mentality
Okay.
with lifting. And
Is that
and
when you
health
kinda
and
That's
went
kind of
with
like
that?
a healthy switch too, to be honest. I'm sure it felt better immediately.
Well, you know what happened was I actually, from that competition day, spiraled into the worst binging cycle that I've ever had, and I struggled with terrible eating disorders.
Yeah,
and this is why you should really think twice before you do that. Do a
Yeah.
bodybuilding show.
Yeah, I mean, they say that's actually extremely common where like people that are part of these competitions get extremely lean and then afterwards they binge. And then it's like, oh, another competition, cut,
Yep.
binge.
Yep.
And they go on these cutting binging cycles that's like
Dude, I looked
really,
like
really
the
bad.
Michelin Man after. And it was like a week. It's called the rebound effect. You gain an insane amount of water and
Yep.
you know, you look, it's crazy. It's like someone put you through a time machine and you fast forwarded like 30 years of eating unhealthy and you look like shit. You're like, how did I go from looking like that to looking like this?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I struggled with binging, you know, eating disorders. And we can definitely talk more about that and how I overcame it. But from that, I knew I wanted to actually do things that would make me feel better and perform
Right.
better. And I took more of a holistic avenue with my fitness. So then I went to powerlifting and I started wanting to become as strong as possible. And this
Right.
is the other extreme.
Yeah.
So from one extreme
Of
to the
course.
other. And the beautiful thing is the extremes, what's the word? The extremes inform the mean, right?
Okay.
So once I actually started focusing on powerlifting, I became insanely strong. I kind of used that fatness to my advantage that I had put on after the bodybuilding competition. And this was only a few months later after the bodybuilding competition. I did a powerlifting meet, did really, really well. I put up like my max deadlift was like 485, my squat like 405, and my bench was like 300.
Wow,
and
those are good numbers.
Yeah, so
Your deadlift is extremely high, especially comparatively to your other lifts.
You know, honestly, what's crazy is that it's in powerlifting culture, that's like absolutely nothing.
I know, because everyone's always like
Well, what was
505
it's
or
weight
nothing.
classes,
Not
right?
even-
So what was the weight class you were in?
So this is the funny part. Basically, I was competing against this guy, and I'll show you a picture. It's like a big African American, thick boy, like 230 pounds, and I'm like 170.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my
Wait,
God,
what? You were in the
dude.
same weight
Yeah.
class as him?
Yeah. Well, so it was because it was based off of age groups.
Oh,
Right.
interesting.
It was
okay.
a little bit of weight class,
It's not like a
mixture
pound
of
for pound
age.
thing.
So they do define relative strength as well, and then also your total strength. But
Right.
it was based off of age and weight. And so, long story short, he takes first place, I take second place. Some skinny Asian twig takes third place somehow.
Yeah,
Strong as hell.
they surprisingly, I know this other Asian kid who's at UConn who literally weighs like 130 pounds.
Dude, he deadlifts like 5 something.
It makes
It's like
no
he's
sense.
like 570.
No
Like
sense.
I think he did 605 the other day.
It's insane.
Oh
It's
my God.
ridiculous.
insane.
He's like 130 something pounds. It's unreal.
Yeah. I have this friend named Andy. Hopefully he watches this when I post it on my page. But dude deadlifts like 700 pounds.
That's insane, dude.
And he's my size. And I'm like, that's why I
Where
was
does it
saying
come
like
from?
485 is
I know.
nothing because it's straight technique. So
Yeah.
that's the crazy thing is powerlifting is straight performance, technicals, and people in the powerlifting community don't really care about their nutrition as much. They're
Yeah.
eating like Sour Patch before their lifts. And
Yeah,
Dude.
Yep. They're,
You gotta get
they're
on
doing,
that honey, dude.
Yeah,
You know,
they're doing
it's like-
the what's those things where they sniff it?
Oh, the
Ammonia.
ammonia. So,
Oh,
yeah, I've
dude.
never done that, but it looks,
that's just something people do to look cool.
yeah. Is it not actually?
It makes you go crazy before.
Yeah, I'm
it
sure
just
it does, man.
lights you
Is
up.
it like that? Can't be good for you, right?
There's no way. Anything,
Probably not.
Yeah, anything that you breathe through your nose that like supercharges you, no way.
Well, they use it to wake up people in a coma in hospitals.
Yeah,
like
okay.
what?
Yeah, so
it's to
not
make
good for
sure you don't
Yeah.
pass
So I'm
out.
about to go
Right.
powerlift. Just like, all right, let's go.
Yep. So yeah, I did immerse myself in the powerlifting culture, and it's amazing to see the differences in how people talk and walk and act.
What was the
And-
so like? It sounds like bodybuilding. It's like the discipline was the hardest part.
Mhm.
Like the discipline to restrict yourself from eating because right, the goal is to get lean and stuff. For powerlifting though, what do you think was like the more important skill to have? For
You're gonna
something
hate me because I'm gonna say discipline as well. but
I
in a
mean, it
different
makes
light.
sense. No, it makes sense. It's a different. I'm sure the
Dude.
mindset's a little different, but
Discipline and the fact that at the end of the night you're like, fuck, I have to squat 400 pounds for 5 sets of 5, and I have no energy.
and you have to take
I
20
have to
minutes
do it.
between.
And I have to take 20 minutes of rest between, and I might actually fail and like break my back, and that's what drives me to make sure I squat this damn
That's the
weight.
thing, dude. You're like, if I don't put this up, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, when
Dude.
I squatted like 445 for one, and I remember
Wow.
that weight being on my back and just being like, "All right, so don't fuck up," because
That's what it is.
Just I remember John was there. He's like, "Just don't think about it. Don't think about it." I was like, "I don't know."
Am I not
Yeah, I was
gonna
like, this is like two. This is like 2.5 of me.
And you can feel, here's the thing, you can feel your joints deteriorating as you're doing this.
Right,
and you're physically causing harm, and your body is super inflamed, and you've got random injuries popping up left and right. And by the end of my 3-month training cycle for this powerlifting meet, my shoulder, my knee, I felt like an old man. Like I
Yeah.
needed a cane to walk around practically.
Yeah.
But dude, it's like all you got to do is, like Mark Bell says, fuck your elbow, and you just lift the weight. And that's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
That's the discipline that I'm talking about. Like you have to completely also disregard all pain signals.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
obviously there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And,
Right,
and I
right.
took the approach where like I want to be more sustainable. You know,
Yeah.
I want to be strong. I want to look good, feel good, all that. But I want to do it in a way where I wasn't kind of damaging my health and putting other things like family and friends on the sidelines.
Right.
I feel like that's the thing though, is like competition, like stuff like you're saying, like even like bodybuilding, even powerlifting, and even like professional athletes. Like I feel like there's a misconception that's like healthy. Like it's not. Like you're not a healthy person performing at an extreme level.
Yeah, never.
Like nobody, that's not healthy for anyone.
Yeah.
Like, that's why nobody can do it long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it fucks you up.
It really does. Athletes have the worst dysfunctions out of any people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're sitting in an office all day and, you know, you're smoking and this and that. Yeah, you're going to be fucked up. But like the athlete, the football player that's getting knocked in the head repeatedly
Oh my
every
God,
single
dude.
practice.
Yeah.
And just
Oh my
like
God.
patterned movements over and over
Yeah, I
again.
was
You know
gonna
what I
say
mean?
pattern
Like
movements,
you get
like-
so stuck in one way that, you know,
Any throwing sport, baseball,
pitching.
good. Say goodbye to your rotator
See ya.
cuff. You know?
See ya. Pattern overload. That's the biggest thing. And actually, that's why powerlifting can be so detrimental to your health and longevity and your pains or your joints. They just completely become obliterated because you are doing this repetitive pattern over and over, and your body is not getting a chance to actually work in different ways. And
Right.
the body is very resilient, but it can only take so much at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are very fragile at the same time. And so you're lifting all this weight in the same pattern and maybe not, you know, a lot of powerlifting is very linear motions. They're
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
multidimensional. And
Yeah.
that's how my training actually segued into strongman
Mm.
because I was like, all right, now I need to train in a multi-dimensional way where I could explore all these different facets of movement and actually train, you know, my core and you know, press things overhead and
Get
move
out of
all
the
different
sagittal
ways.
plane, really.
Exactly. So I had just freshly done this powerlifting meet, placed second, was really hyped about it because, you know, this is my first meet.
Yeah, I mean, you
Crushed
came right off a
all-time
bodybuilding
PRs.
show too. Like that's pretty impressive to go from
Yeah.
like bodybuilding straight into a powerlifting
And then
meet.
place second, like
in,
that's
like, a
pretty
few
sick.
months.
Because
Yeah.
I'm sure you were also competing against people that like their sole goal was to power lift.
Yeah.
So to come in second above them is kind of like a whoa.
Yeah, I came out of nowhere. The UMass Amherst powerlifting team was all there. It was cool. I made friends with a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Beat a lot of them.
A lot of people. Yeah, like I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of respect because everyone knows how hard it feels.
Yeah.
You know, like 480 pounds is 480 pounds. to
Well, dude,
everyone,
and you must
know?
have, and you also must have already been strong. I feel like a lot of bodybuilders are like, why would I lift heavy weights when I
Yeah.
could just do 40, you know, a 4x12 every day for my entire life and
Yeah.
it'll be great. And then they hit a
Yeah.
plateau and they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That's the thing is even with bodybuilding, you know, yes, there is this coveted like ideal way to perform, you know, your sets so that you can get the most hypertrophy, but at the same time your body adapts to it. So I would start to lift heavier, you know, when I noticed like I was kind of plateauing,
Mm.
start to lift heavier and then realized I really, really enjoyed it because I got this like sickening adrenaline pump
Oh, yeah.
every time I would see that weight up. And I would just imagine like absolutely, I don't even know, like I would just eat the weights.
Yeah. Well, there's just something awesome about like at one point you couldn't do it and now you can.
Yes.
It feels like I always say it's like gamifying life in a way where
Yeah.
it feels like your video game character. You know, you're just filling up
Level
those
up.
bars. You know.
Yeah, it feels like
Infinite
Mario
skill
and
tree.
you punch the freaking block and the mushroom comes out and you're like, doot, doot, doot.
Yeah.
So that was the difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding. Bodybuilding wasn't so much about that performance edge and one-upping yourself. Yeah, you one-upping your looks every time. But
Right.
the thing with powerlifting is it's like an immediate reward. Like right then and there, you lift that shit and after you're like, woo!
Yeah.
You know? So that was cool. Then I went into strongman actually because at the gym I was working at had this strongman couple, and they would bring their freaking sandbags and like vlogs and all
Yeah.
these weird, strange artifacts that they would try to lift. And for some strange reason, I had this inclination to start doing that.
Right.
And I was like, hey, can you guys teach me?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, you'll kill it. Do it. Sign up. Do it right now.
Oh, man.
I went online, immediately found a show or a event they call it.
Buzzed your hair.
But, so that was for cancer. But
okay.
yeah,
Geez,
it was
okay.
like
There
this
you go.
charity that we were hosting at the gym, and
Okay.
so
Oh.
they wanted me to buzz my hair fully. But I was like, in the event that I'm doing a strongman competition, might as well look like an absolute savage killer. So I buzzed it into a mohawk because that's apparently like the look. You know, strongmen like to have mohawks and colored hair, and this is the thing between bodybuilding, powerlifting, and strongman. They all have their weird little things.
Yeah.
It's like a little cult. You know,
Yeah.
they got the little group
Dude, they're
things.
all cults. But the most beautiful thing is about these sports is there's an amazing community behind them most of the time. You know, people are very, very humble. I was going to use the word humble, but it's more like respecting, like compassionate, you know, cheering each other on, camaraderie, right?
Camaraderie.
A lot
That's
of
a much
camaraderie.
better word. 'Cause I was gonna say, I don't know about humility. 'Cause,
Definitely not humble. Yeah, especially with not bodybuilding.
That's like 100% based in arrogance, you know, because it's all
It is.
it's all and
It is.
insecurities too, because
It
like
is.
you know, like you kind of grow up and like all of a sudden you're like, oh, you know what, I think I want to be shredded.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It seems like one day I woke up and I literally just wanted to be shredded. And you build that self-reflection of yourself and it can definitely become toxic. So that's why I stepped away from bodybuilding. You
it
build
really
those insecurities and those terrible eating habits. And so I was like, yep, I'm done with that. Obviously still bodybuilding, you know. That's just what you do in the gym to get bigger. You're doing hypertrophy workouts. But I actually ended up using all these things. And with strongman, I was competing against like 225 pounders. That was the weight
That's
class.
crazy,
right?
dude.
Jesus.
And I was 170. And among these huge beasts, they're like 6'2", and I'm 5'7", and you know they're lifting these big stones of concrete onto a
Atlas
pedestal.
stones.
That looks like
Atlas
that was my
every time I
favorite
see that,
event.
I'm like, fuck, dude, that guy's fucking back. I'm sure there's a, you know, it's almost like those deadlifts where I don't remember what, I don't know actually know what the name is, where you like round your back. And do one of
Jefferson
those.
curl.
Yeah, Jefferson
curl.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that, except you almost like sit it on your legs.
Yep.
And you know, pin it. You know,
Yep.
pin yourself, and
All about the hips, baby.
dude,
That's all I gotta
hips.
say. Like that movement itself, if you can thrust well, you got that motion in the ocean, like you got that event.
pop it up.
Yep. So that's the thing. There were all these weird little intricacies within strongman that I really, really loved. And if I go back to doing any one of these, I would probably say strongman. I know I'm not necessarily built for it because these guys that compete in strongman,
They're ridiculous.
My God, man.
They're ridiculous, dude.
Dude, Thor, like what?
Yeah,
Who
he's
is that guy?
gigantic, dude. That
It
guy's
doesn't make any
enormous.
sense.
Doesn't make any sense. It just it's funny because like he grabs a barbell and I'm like, dude, that looks like he's grabbing spaghetti. You know?
I know.
And it's
It
like
looks so
500
small.
pounds.
Yeah.
And he's definitely got a myostatin deficiency or some weird genetic
Yeah.
freak of nature. Yeah,
There's only one of him. You know what I mean?
There is.
He's
There
one
truly
for
is.
one.
Yeah. So segue from strongman, right? I take all these things together and I'm like, cool. Now how can I combine all these things and create this aggregate philosophy of optimization? That's when I really got into biohacking. I know that's a very trendy word.
It is, yeah.
All it means is really understanding modern science and how you can essentially gamify the human body to performing better. And a lot of the ways to optimize yourself is simply to subtract the things that are harming you, right? That's the fastest way to achieving peak performance. So, you know, as I try to understand the human body better, I realize, okay, you know, all these different things that I've done have their own place, but pursuing each one of those individually does not lead to a optimized being, right? Because, I mean, like we just said, each one of them have their fucked up things, and each one of those sports create, you know, different degenerative injuries and each one of them.
Shortcomings.
What was the hardest? I was gonna say, like, what was like the hardest hitting thing about the strongman competition?
Oh man, strongman was insanely tough because I, in the events, actually saw these kids like lifting insane amounts of weight so easily. And I'm like a puny midget next to them. And all my life, I was like, had all my friends saying, dude, you're so strong, this and that. And
it really puts things into perspective.
it put things into perspective. And I got so humbled. I placed 7 out of 14, which was still crazy to me and I was very happy with that performance because I had like beat out, spit all over the mic, beat out people that were, 50 pounds heavier than me. So that's the thing. I would say it was really just hardest thing was, pushing past the failure. I know that's so like kind of cliche, and you probably want a more epic
you hear it a lot
response. You don't need to be more epic than that. I mean, that's straight to the point. I think that's good.
That's all it was.
You hear it a lot because it's true. You know what I mean? Like that's why it's repeated so many times. Because that's part of it. Dude, it's a mental game.
The most frightening thing was probably dropping an Atlas stone like on my feet, which I didn't do, but I was very, very, very close a few times, and like on my body and crazy things that would never happen if you just go about your life and don't ever do strongman.
A boulder just like you fall over and get crushed by a rock.
It's practically the same thing, right?
It's like some Indiana Jones shit.
Like when they say pianos fall out of the sky. No, like if you do strongman, you wish that piano would fall out of the sky. So that's the thing about strongman that was really tough about it. And then just kind of that was it.
So more about this biohacking.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I kind of cut you off here, but I was curious. I forgot to ask. I feel like a lot of people are like, "What the fuck is strongman?" So
no, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. But so biohacking.
Biohacking. What do you want to know about it?
Well, so you were kind of getting into it. You were saying it's just kind of like optimizing your body. Mm-hmm. But like, what does that actually entail? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there are all these different technologies coming out now to allow you to think better, have more sustained energy, decrease stress, improved focus, improved, immunity and longevity, and quality of life. That's really, really the main focus of it is how can you add more life to your years?
Right.
So a lot of the things that we do are so oxidative and so detrimental to our longevity. And so biohacking essentially seeks to combat that, right? So think about it like this. It's basically just a bunch of people, complete freaks as well, geeks like us, that are like sitting behind and tinkering with these potions and magical things and being wizards and saying abracadabra and turning into immortal creatures.
Right.
That's exactly what it is, essentially. But that's basically, that's kind of the stigma around that word of biohacking.
For sure. I was gonna say
Like there's no little minion behind a computer programming you to live longer. But that's kind of the thing about it is it's how can you learn your body better and how can you create more awareness in your living and your lifestyle to have a better life.
Right.
And like you were saying, like all the pursuits that you did had their specific pitfalls and then, their specific benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And so going too extreme in one or the other, it's detrimental. It's not necessarily, you don't want to like get yourself stuck in this one type of training and then you're very restrictive. You step out of it and you get hurt kind of thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So with biohacking, the thing that struck me most was the fact that you're really just seeking to better your life. Like who doesn't want a better life? You know?
Everyone.
And for most people, like, you want, money or you may want fame or this and that, but there's like a joyful pursuit of just wanting more for yourself. And it really stems from health because it's the foundation of everything.
Yeah. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
You don't have anything. You're not gonna be where you want in life because it's all gonna crumble and tumble. And if you've made $1 million with shitty habits, maybe your goal is to hit $1 billion in you're not going to get there if you're, not sleeping properly and doing this and that, eating properly.
I mean, if you wake up every day and you feel like garbage, it's not very like motivating or encouraging to go out and do productive things.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's a telltale sign that you're doing something fundamentally wrong.
Right.
And the amazing thing is we've grown so far away from our innate nature of waking up with the sun and going to sleep after the sun sets and not having these crazy lights emitting this blue light. I should probably be wearing my blue light bulb.
Dude, the blue light thing is very real. Like I picked up a pair and it's like I put them on and an hour later I'm like, I need to go to sleep.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's
the
pretty
blue
dramatic.
light glasses, I've had a few people hit me up like, dude, are they a real? I'm like, yeah, they are. Like I work on the computer like all the time. Like that's our job is just being on the computer. Oh,
Dude,
look, he's got him
so
ready.
Shameless plug, this company I just partnered up with. This was not planned, I swear to God. I brought them because I figured I might need it. So yeah, maybe a little bit improvised. But anyways, these glasses are freaking amazing. I can't put them on right now, but they look badass, trust me. It's a company called Seize Health. And it's all about seizing your day, right? Seizing your mornings.
Okay.
The beautiful thing about blue light blockers, it's simply like I said, biohacking, all about, how can you kind of customize your lifestyle to perform better. And so basically they block that harmful blue light that is, causing you to suppress your melatonin and growth hormone and cortisol is on the rise.
Dude, it's also detrimental to your eyesight. Like
very bad.
Very much so.
eye
Like
strain.
prolonged exposure, especially like it's I think specifically bright light, but everybody's always on their phone like this, especially sitting in bed at night on your phone,
Their
dude.
neck cranked.
Dude, and like especially with work, dude, I notice like, if I'm on my laptop for hours and hours, like my eyes, like it's almost like I feel like I'm cross-eyed, but I'm not. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I actually, I have prescription glasses. They help me with computers and just seeing in general. But pretty much I didn't have my initial prescription, didn't have the blue blocking in. And I would notice when I first got my job, like at the end of the day, it was just like that. I was like, I was looking cross-eyed. And I was like, what the hell's going on? These are glasses. And I go and I get an updated prescription. I say, hey, put the blue blocking in. And it was like night and day.
Yep.
Like I get to the end of the workday and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, my eyes don't hurt and I can see fine. You know
that moment after you take a big shit? Like how relaxed you are and you have like this tranquil sensation? Dude, that's exactly how wearing a pair of good blue light blockers feels for your eyes.
Those are the more intense ones, right?
Yes.
'Cause those are the red ones. Like I just have the clear ones.
Yeah. These filter out the higher frequencies of blue light up to like 550 nanometers. Blue and green light are those frequencies that you don't want to have later on the day after the sun sets because the sun emits blue light, but only during peak hours, so like noon time. And those are very, very strong UVA and UVB rays. Now, in the later times of the day, and actually morning and evening, there's a lot of infrared light being released. And that's both. Actually, all rays are very central to your hormone production. And the thing about these is they're simply a tool that allows you to be more cognizant of what you're doing to yourself. Like from the moment I started using these, I realized how much damage I was doing to myself sleep-wise and therefore performance-wise because I was on my phone, on my laptop during very close hours of bedtime up right until I went to sleep. Like I would be on my phone scrolling through my feed and then I would just put my phone aside and I'd wake up the next morning wondering why I was so groggy.
Right.
And so ever since I started doing this, ever since I started going out in the sun in the morning, barefoot, getting grounded, moving around, absorbing that great sunlight. And then in the evening doing that as well, it really helps to set your biological clocks properly. So it's really just optimizing your circadian rhythm, and that's a great thing. So if you do work like on a computer all day, you should definitely grab yourself a pair of blue light.
Yeah, even if you're like a person that's on their phone all the time. I remember this girl was like, "Yeah, I never sleep. Like I suck at sleeping." I'm like, "Oh, like do you have like blue blocking glasses?" She's like, "It's probably bullshit." I was like, "It's not," but like it seems like you've already made up your mind about it, even though you don't even know what it is. But
Dude,
it sounds good.
It's kind of like tools to like how do you like live the life of a modern human without the detriments? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
I've
how do
never
I
heard
plug
it
myself in?
That's good.
Well, it's true. It's like, how am I going to live my modern life with my phone? And like, I know I'm not going to knock that habit, maybe one day, but right now I'm going to do it. So like, how do I do it without the negatives?
Right.
Right.
To put it simply, biohacking is using modern science and ancestral wisdom. It's essentially living as you were designed to live. And because we have so many things around us, we're sitting in a car or we're sitting in an office being bombarded by these blue lights. We're eating very high inflammatory diets with high sugar, oxidative fats, and doing all these things that just completely destroy our bodies and our mind and, zap your energy and focus and creativity. Basically, it's trying to do everything to wipe that slate clean and ensure you're performing at your max.
Right.
So
No, see, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
because
cool.
it's like one of those things where it's like, because I think there's also like, there's a basic level of understanding that I think people have to get. And I think biohacking kind of helps them get interested, at least in finding what it is for themselves. Because like you said, everything's kind of different for everyone.
Right.
But there's some general things that we know don't work, which is like being on your phone all day long and, and like not having any sort of like sleeping routine. You tell someone a sleeping routine, they're like, what? And it's like, well, what do you do with your kids? It's like, well, I start at around this time. I start getting them ready for bed.
Yeah,
like, why don't you do that for yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, even in this house, we try to like, as soon as it starts getting to nighttime, I'm like, all right, we should probably start dimming the lights in here.
Have like lamps and candles and stuff.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Actually, this company really put me on. They're like very small, and I can definitely, toss you guys some affiliate links and stuff. But
That'd be sweet. C's, huh?
Dude, they're really cool. Like they're all about,
I like their
being
packaging.
eco-friendly. It's like cork and the frames are made of wood.
Dude, well, I wanted a
very
pair of like orange ones for
sourced.
nighttime because the other ones I slap on during the day just because it's like mild.
But you definitely need a pair like that are more intensive for after the sun sets.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. So this company put me on to this whole wave of optimizing your light diet. And I had never heard of that term. Light diet.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy because we don't think of it like that, but it completely revamps our mindset of how we live our lives and makes you more aware and cognizant. But yeah, as far as how the lights, sunlight, obviously artificial lights, it very, very much has a direct correlation to your sleep quality. And when you use tools like these, or you put away your screen like an hour before you go to sleep, and you go to to sleep at consistent times every single day, make sure your room is a little bit colder. Doing all these things essentially will help you fall asleep faster, get that deep regenerative sleep. Get to that REM state where you can actually consolidate memories and and repair your body, and doing simple things like this. That's all about that's all it is. Essentially, optimizing yourself shouldn't be this complex thing. It should be as simple as possible. Like when I see people taking hundreds of different supplements and concoctions and stuff like that, and I used to do it. I used to spend hundreds of dollars a month on supplements, and I quickly realized 99% of it was garbage.
I was gonna say, like, some of the most important stuff is just like, are you eating the right amount of nutrients? I have
drinking enough water.
Drinking enough
water.
Are you
sleeping enough?
Are you sleeping enough? Yeah, it's crazy. Like I have a family member of mine, and she was telling me not too long ago about how good her new diet is, and it essentially is a bagel with cream cheese in the morning, with a cup of coffee, and then she has a protein shake for a little bit later. She has another protein shake for lunch, and then that's it, by the way. And then she will have a dinner of some kind, and it's usually like a full dinner. It'll be like meat, potatoes, veggies, but that's all she eats all day. And so it's really tough because, like, when it's your family, it's like you want to talk about it and you want to say like, hey, so like a protein shake isn't necessarily a meal. It's just like
it's a supplement.
Yeah, it's a supplement. It's supposed to add to your food. throughout the day. It's not supposed to be your only source of food.
Yep.
But like you can't, it's tough with your family. I always find
It's so hard.
it's so hard because your family just looks at you and they've seen you since you were 2 or even younger. You know, obviously if they've been there
It's
forever.
like,
it's
yeah, that shit doesn't work. I've been around for like 50
better.
years. I'm like, dude, my dad is just like, yeah, I had like a banana and a coffee, and then at 6 p.m. I ate a piece of chicken.
Yeah, you're
Like, what the
Dad, you're malnourished. All right.
It's like, yeah, I've been having these crazy headaches. I'm like, dude, he stopped drinking coffee for like 3 days or like 2 days or something because like, you know, he's like, oh, I'm like borderline on all these things. I'm like, cool, this is the perfect time to have an intervention and for you to fix your stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And like he stopped drinking coffee for 2 days. He's like, I've been having crazy headaches. I'm like, it's because you're addicted to caffeine, dude. You drink like 4 Starbucks coffees a day, which is like the equivalent of 8 normal cups of coffee.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, man. The thing with family and trying to intervene, I've had some tough times trying to do so, and to this day, like that's one of the that's the 8th wonder of the world to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like I can do it with everyone else. I can help people become better and optimize their health and nutrition, all that. But like, why doesn't like my family does not listen?
It's I think the saying is it's impossible to be a prophet in your own tribe or something like that. Where it's like if people already know you, you're not going to be a prophet. But if you were to go to it somewhere else, it's like, oh, okay, who's this new guy? Yeah,
yeah. Like my family really was the instigator of me wanting to be healthier because I grew up and people say the Mediterranean diet is good and all. A true Mediterranean diet is good, but not the one where you've got Arabic pita bread at every dining.
I was going to say, it's like fries with everything, dude. You know, now it's like, because like, you know, you go to Lebanon, it's like now it's like there's fries and you know, you get a shawarma sandwich, there's fries in it. There's fries and everything. So, but you're right. A traditional Mediterranean diet, like all the fats are getting are olive oil. You know what I mean? Like,
what is a Mediterranean diet? Isn't that like fruits and animal products? Is that what it is?
It's very based around obviously the foods that grow in that region, but you know you've got a lot of olive oil, olives, meats,
fish,
rice, fish.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
It's essentially the Mediterranean diet is kind of like a culmination of a lot of the foods that we should probably be having,
right?
And that's why I loved it so much, but not the way my family was doing it. So at every meal, it's like you got to have a whole loaf of bread and then you got to eat rice and then you have a little bit of protein cooked in canola oil and then you have freaking sweets and coffee after and smoke hookah. Like, dude, it's
so true though.
I'd never smoked I don't think I smoked a hookah once and then we started living together and then I was like, oh, like people own hookahs?
Dude, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I'm thinking like, oh, my dad's a fucking chimney. You know what I mean? Like, my dad's smoking all the time. So like, it's just funny when, you're right. It's almost like people think of hookah bars, and it's different too. I know this is kind of a tangent, but like hookah bars here are like, you know what I mean?
They very much.
You go to like
that.
Lebanon, it's like a cafe. Like you're sitting on the water, like drinking tea, like smoking a hookah. You know what I mean? It's not a club. You know?
Yeah, it's very Americanized here. I mean, everything is, but like, it's just funny how it is here versus there. They're like, but they're like hookah at every meal over in the Arab states. They're crazy, man. Like it's they breathe tobacco. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like people watching, you guys probably have, you know, your family may be in this particular scenario where they might be pushing you to, you know, indulge in these ways of eating and lifestyle and stuff like that, and you're trying to rip yourself away from that and be healthy, but it's definitely a challenge, and I can definitely understand people that have trouble with that. And so you really have to battle and not succumb to that cultural standard,
right?
So that's really the battle of health. It's so sad to see how many people are like buy into so many marketing gimmicks and don't understand
stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Like it's really sad because people are desperate and they want a way to change their life and they think that there are shortcuts when there really, really aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to do the work.
I can be totally healthy if I just cut out every single carb. It's like, well, not necessarily. Right. Oh, I can be totally healthy if I just don't eat meat. Well, depends.
Right.
Oh, I can be healthy if I eat nothing but meat.
Dude,
Well,
Depends.
well, that's the thing too,
You know?
and it's like it's pretty straightforward. But I feel like nobody is actually consistent. So like, well, this doesn't work. I'm like, well, can you just be honest with yourself? Like, were you consistently doing it for longer than 2 days?
Yep.
I mean, like, be consistent for a couple months. Like, there's
Yeah.
going to be a dramatic change.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, and it's like, that this works. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it works, but you're just like, well, yeah, and I did it, but you
Right.
didn't really do it. And then you try something else and you just keep going.
Right. Like the word diet is so misconstrued.
Right.
And people think it's some weird shortcut, some freaking Houdini trick out of a
Right.
hat.
Or it has to be something totally extreme.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
It's really not. It's just how you eat. And if it works for you, if you can be consistent with it, if you're fond of it and it provides tangible results, then great. Keep going.
Yeah.
But the problem is, people look at these different ways, keto and carnivore diet and vegan diet and all these things. They're simply different tools in your toolbox. And I would advise most people down the road to try them, see how they feel.
Yeah.
Like I did a keto diet for 3 months and honestly, it was great. I loved it. But dude, I want to eat fruit. I want to freaking have a banana.
Yeah.
I couldn't fucking have a banana.
Yeah.
I was so pissed. Like, dude, I had to have like a blueberry because I was counting carbs and couldn't go over a certain amount or I'd get out of ketosis.
Yeah.
And that's why I love intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting was more of a lifestyle design
Right.
than an actual diet. It allowed you to really, for me, perform better and be more productive because I wasn't focusing on eating all the time and eating every 3 hours and spiking my insulin levels again and having to deal with that downfall where you become unproductive and you slow down.
Right.
And so what I found works best is, my own version of a diet, and what you may find works best might be completely and radically different than
Dude,
someone
I was
else.
going to say, like, for me too, like, I used to do intermittent fasting. I still kind of do it, but I never really even knew what it was called. It was just like, I don't really get hungry until 10 or 11. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to eat until it's like 11 p.m. Or 11 a.m. And then I'm like, word, I'm ready to eat. I never was somebody who could wake up and immediately eat breakfast.
Yeah, that's
Just
me.
for whatever reason, dude, I'm never like super hungry unless I got like really good sleep or something like that. And, maybe I lifted the day before and I woke up and I was feeling super well rested. Sometimes, whatever, I'm starving.
Yep.
But for the most part, like I wake up and I'm like,
Not feeling it.
I just like, and my mind's racing, because like, and then the second, and I know I'm like, this is going to keep going until I eat. And the second I eat, I'm going to slow down. But like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Sometimes, and everybody's different.
Yeah, you really have to. I know a lot of people say this, but like listen to your body. Actually listen. Like don't trick yourself and think, oh, that fucking donut looks good right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like people are like, oh, listen to your body. Listen to your body.
Oh,
If
I
your
need
body
a
says you
break.
need 12 donuts, just do it. I'm like, well,
no.
You're not listening to your body. You're listening to your urges.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That was a better way to put it. Basically, with your nutrition habits, just understand what you're doing. Like I would advise, people to actually track macros. Maybe you're not going to do it for the rest of your life, but that actually just gives you the awareness of what you're putting in your body and how much, that is contributing to your fatness or skinniness or leanness or
So or just like how you feel. Because
Yeah.
I remember there was,
Yeah.
I was like talking on my Instagram one time about tracking and just how it's important to at least take a week or two and just track everything you eat and just see like where are you at. And this girl messaged me and she's like, oh, well, I feel like I'd get like an eating disorder and I'd feel all this sort of stuff. I'm like, well, you don't want to look at it like you're a piece of shit if you have an Oreo. It's just like you're tracking it and you want to see like, did I actually have enough protein today?
Yep.
Did I actually get enough of these vitamins today? Because if I didn't, well, maybe that just means I need to eat a little more meat or I need to eat a little bit more of this and that. It just, like you said, it gives you a little bit more awareness.
What doesn't get measured does not get managed. So at the end of the day,
Good way. Love
if
that.
you don't actually put a number, right, and understand where you're at, tracking that and having data to look at. I mean, I'm not an analytical person. I've developed more of a analytical sense, but like for me, I realized that sometimes, you actually have to go in and write things down and understand like, okay, so, this has 5 grams of protein. Should probably get like somewhere between 100 to 140 grams, depending on my stress level, activity level, my weight, my age, my sex, like everything.
Right.
So it just allows you, like I said, to have better awareness.
Well, it's true, dude. And like, what's worse than, realizing how much food you eat is like sitting there like, why do I look this way and being confused about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why do I feel like shit for
having zero idea and be like, I have no control over my body. And it's really because you have no idea what's actually happening. You know
I like to compare it to like, imagine you had no idea how much money was in your bank account.
Yeah.
And you were just spending money.
Yeah.
That's
like a very good point.
It's like, would you spend money not knowing how much you made and how much you expect to see in the future and like how much you have stored?
Yeah.
You wouldn't, because like that'd be madness.
But I don't want to feel broke, so I don't look at my bank account.
Yeah, that's the exact thought.
Right. That's my best analogy with tracking your macros. It's essentially how you spend your calories, right?
Right.
Like
it's a good one.
You want to understand, okay, my body operates at this level. Okay, I want to get to this level, so I have to do X, Y, and Z. Right? It's just, it allows no room for error, and it's not a guessing game anymore. Right? So that's why I like tracking, and I advise most people to do it. You don't have to do it all the time. You don't have to do it for the rest of your life. Like, it's not indentured servitude to fitness.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just, like I said, another tool in your toolbox.
Right.
It just allows you to see where you're at and understand how to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, I love that. Now, we've been going for a little over an hour. I was wondering, is there anything else you wanted to cover in this particular episode?
It's kind of shitty because I know we talking about like gut health and stuff. I mean, I know we're gonna have you back on, so if you want, like,
I'd be down to do it then. I know Zan's gonna want to talk about a lot of like mental, mindset things, like business, financial stuff.
Well, it's good because I wanted to get like, I wanted people to know like, this is Omar,
Yeah.
And like, who is this guy?
We'll have another one, we're just going to have you on for a few.
Dude, you're too interesting for just one episode.
We'll have you on for a few episodes. So we can have a whole other talk about that because I would love to, that's a great topic. So
yeah.
I spend hours upon hours reading about freaking the brain and gut health and how it pertains to, like, dude, the thing you eat, we ingest over the course of our lifespan, we ingest 20 tons of foreign particulates. Like, from the food you eat, obviously, to, the random mosquito that flies in your mouth.
Right.
But like
all those spiders that we're supposedly eating at night. What is that?
That's what I heard. There's some statistic that you swallow about 3 spiders a year. And I'm like, I would probably know, or at least have a feeling that I did.
Yeah.
How do you calculate? How do you know that?
Yeah. What sample were they taken from? What was the sample size on that?
But yeah, I mean, as far as like how you guys feel, it is definitely, and how you think is definitely directly correlated to what you're putting in your body, because that's just information.
Right.
Like an apple versus a donut, they're both information. They both hold different amounts of data and different quality and quantity.
Right.
So like I was reading about, neurogenesis, the ability to produce new neurons, and everyone can do it, right? But it's just at, what rate can you? And the amazing thing is how popular neurodegenerative diseases are now. Like 1 in 3 people develop some sort of neurodegenerative disease. I can't even say the freaking word.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it, man.
But yeah, like Alzheimer's is becoming increasingly popular.
Yeah.
Cancer and diabetes are, the leading freaking causes of mortality. So it's like, obviously these things are controllable. We have full control over being able to live better and longer.
Right.
So why wouldn't you want that for yourself?
Right. Like a lot of these things, they can at least be mitigated.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people are just genetically predisposed to certain conditions.
Very true.
But there's things that you can do to at least like maybe elongate how long it actually onsets into your system.
Right. Exactly.
Now, before we get on a huge tangent, I do want to lay out the carpet, advertise yourself a little bit. Like, where can people find you? and all that kind of stuff.
So best way to find me is going to be Instagram. I promise I'll be more engaging and active on that. I really just stepped away because I wanted to, kind of go within.
Yeah.
Don't mean to be all like,
No, dude.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, but like when you were
important.
posting though, you were like very consistent with it. You know what I mean? So
I was very consistent, and then I started to realize like sometimes I would be doing it for like the validating, egoic reasons, and so I was completely trying to detach from that. So I decided, hey man, like I'm gonna take a break, focus on myself, focus on what I actually want to learn. And so ever since then, I've been so entrenched in learning and actually like being involved in what I want to do, because I'm building out a course right now and putting together a lot of content for entrepreneurs who want to perform at their peak. So
there you go.
it's gonna literally be A to Z, every single thing you need to know.
Got
No
some
bullshit.
Ben Greenfield vibes, dude.
Yeah.
That's my favorite guy. I hope, definitely one day I'll be speaking on stage with Ben Greenfield.
That would be dope, dude.
Absolutely will be a thing.
Play that clip right next to you speaking.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Benjamin.
Yes, sir.
Good
Yes,
clip.
sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely happening. So I'm working on that right now, but Instagram is going to be the best way. Anyone who's watching this, reach out to me if you want to look better, feel better, think better, live Om Fit.
There it is.
There you go.
Sweet.
People often like have this weird LIVEOMFIT. I don't know why people think it's live Om Fit.
Oh, live Om Fit. Yeah, that makes
Live
more
Om
sense.
Fit. Yeah, I don't know.
Like it kind of sounds.
Never seen that. Yeah.
So that I've been wanting to like change my Instagram name. When everyone said when someone says that, I'm like, stepped on my toe.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. We'll have you on again soon. And,
yeah, dude. I mean, we got to talk about all the other stuff. I know.
there's still so much
bad.
more to talk about. Look at that. Leave people on the edge of their seat.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Peace.
Put a glove on it.